What's up, gamers? This is the Battle Mallet Podcast, Episode 3, Precious Moments. I'm Jerod.
I'm Jason.
I'm Danny.
I'm Trace.
And in this episode, we're gonna talk about the local tournament that our friend and loved one Trace just hosted. We've got an interview with Alan Blakeborough from the Barnyard Brawl, and then we'll close it out. So a short number of sections, but there's a lot of content there, and we're excited to share our experiences of the tournament with you and let you guys have the chance to hear more about the Barnyard Brawl that's coming up at the end of April. This is just your friendly reminder that if you're just starting with us and you want to learn more about who we are, I'd encourage you to go back to episode 0. There's not any real current events content or anything like that, but it's an hour or so of us introducing ourselves and our gaming histories. So it's a good chance to get to know who we are and kind of the way we game, what we're excited about.
Yeah, you can stop sending me all those DMs. Just listen to episode 0.
Right. Yeah. So as a friendly reminder, this is a podcast that takes a deep dive into the minds of 4 busy gamers, our annual trip to Nova, the games that we love, and balancing life with those games. So with that in mind, what has everybody been up to lately?
I've been putting sand on 25 millimeter bases, and it's been riveting.
That's for your Space Marines, right?
Nah,
Danny's favorite thing to do is base models.
Oh, shoot me in the face with a mass reactive bolt round because I hate it so bad.
Can't find that in Middle Earth, can you, Danny?
Nope.
There are no mass reactive bolt rounds in Middle Earth.
Give me Elvish Steel across the face then.
There you go.
Because I'm over it and I'm not even halfway done. I ordered a box of more Gondor stuff that's gonna arrive any day in the post, and it's gonna be sand o'clock for the Dan Man.
So exciting. Now, so do you sand before you don't prime, or do you don't prime first?
Oh, I'm going to have to leave that as a major cliffhanger for episode 4. Okay, Jerod, don't ask me such detailed information about my process, because I might prime this time. I might throw you off your game, and you're all going to be like, who's this man?
Jerod, you know those are trade secrets. He's not going to tell you.
That's fair.
Don't you have to prime Finecast?
Most of it's plastic, dog.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, only the character models are Finecast, and most actually a lot of them have just, to be honest, they're so old. They've been sitting around in clan packs for years that all of that release agent has completely dried off. I could absolutely just put paint on one of these Finecast models right now, and it wouldn't be a thing.
Or just soaked into the resin, That's fine.
Either way.
You make me so uncomfortable, Danny.
Into the ozone, killing sea turtles in the ocean or something.
I love sea turtles.
So anything other than just basing models, Danny? Have you been building anything?
I mean, yes, but the Gondor soldiers are 2 pieces. It's a body and an arm, so building's not really a thing. But that is about all I've done. I did pick up and split the Shadow Spear box with Trace. I think you know that because we split it. But I haven't taken anything apart on that yet. I'm saving that. That's gonna be a post Nova project for me.
Well, I have built the entire side of that from that box.
Jeez. On both boxes or just the one?
Just the one. I'm waiting to get the other box from Jason first. But
you're at least as much machine as that Venom Crawler is, Trace.
That juicy goodness at the center of the Venom Crawler. It's what I'm made of. It's why I'm going to the gym 3 times a week. But yeah, I've been putting together that stuff and just doing some different paint scheme tests and stuff like that. So I'll put a picture up in the Facebook page of just a test base that I made. I'm gonna try and do some cool forge, underforge glow bases for the Black Legion that I'm putting together, because they're just a really dark paint scheme, and I think just having some nice contrasting elements on the bases will be nice. I sent a picture to you guys, but I'll post it in the Facebook page as well. What did you guys think about that, by the way?
It looks
getting
good.
there.
That's good.
Oh, no.
There it is.
No.
The infamous, it's getting there.
All right, so we have to sidebar here, just because we can't throw out an inside joke and not explain it. And so I will own this. This is my bad.
It is Danny's fault.
This years ago, Jason sent a picture to everybody of I believe it was a Dark Angels like flyer, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Finished model.
Finished flyer.
Completely finished. I did not know this. And so Jason sends it, and my first response is, "Looks good. It's getting there." And Jason was like, "It's done. It's finished."
And Jason has been working on this for hours.
And was so excited to show it off. And I was like, "Yeah, it's getting there."
It was the Dark Talon, wasn't it? Wasn't it the Dark Talon?
It was the Nephilim fighter.
Yeah, so you're like taking all that time to paint all the wings and stuff like that. Yeah.
Every time anybody talks about painting ever, Jason's first reaction, it's getting there.
It's getting there.
It's all because I didn't edge highlight the wings. So like all my detail work was in the cockpit. Like all the little knobs and doodads were all detailed out. And it's getting there. Oh, well, guess what? Now even it's completed. It's a good start. It's getting there.
You could win a golden demon or the Slayer sword, and Jason would say, "Yeah, it's getting there."
It's getting there. Hey, it's a good motto.
I like it. So anything
always
else?
Keeping us humble. That's what's happening.
Yeah. No, but yeah, Chase, the base looks good. I like the I think the orange will contrast off the black armor. And if you get that underglow effect right, I think it'll help draw the eye, back up to the model while giving, some effect and some interest to the base, more than maybe just sand would.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, you've done Black Legion before and done orange plasma, and it's turned out really, really well. So I think the underglow will look very cool.
Thanks.
I'm into it. I dig it for sure. It's badass. It's metal as hell.
Yeah, it's super chaosy.
Metal.
Well, just like I told you guys, like if you're gonna have the most metal miniatures in the game, you might as well make them like full Slayer poster ready miniatures, right?
Down. So totally down.
Yep. If you can figure out how to make lightning bolts in the background behind them, that would be ideal. But
yeah.
Well, I'll jump in. So for me, I'm excited because I have gotten my Q1 Age of Sigmar hobby painting completed, other than the bases, because basing is also my favorite part.
Just give Danny. He'll do them for you.
Yeah, I'll just get
with pleasure.
I know
Con mucho gusto, Jerod.
So the pictures are up. I got to do the bases, but their counting is done. I went back and painted black over the bases because I'm not sure what I'm doing there. But the big thing for me with my Age of Sigmar is that I am committed. I'm not making any new purchases until what I own is painted. So I have purchased the Knight Zephyros, who's the Neve Black Talon alternate, because I'm not running Hammers of Sigmar. And then I bought a box of Liberators because, who doesn't like super soldiers carrying giant shields? So
the ones that put two swords on them, Jerod, that's who.
Oh, that's true. Or two hammers.
It's a mistake.
I'll just lobbing them up there for you. So those are done, and so I'm working on building those, and excited about that.
Really enjoyed watching your progress through that on the Facebook page.
Also, congrats, man.
Yeah,
hitting a goal always feels good. Doesn't matter what it is, if it's hobby or personal. That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and your discipline, like you're not going to buy anything else until that is painted. I'm so envious. I wish I had that discipline.
Well, the problem for you, Jason, is that you'd never buy anything because you just don't paint.
Yeah, that's really what you got to do. Just hold your feet to the fire.
I mean,
I think he did say that he did say isn't painted, not didn't paint it himself. So he could still do it his way.
Hey, the temptation is real with everything I got going on, because I definitely I've sold off and I've built back up, not slowly, and with
like a true addict.
Yeah. With Shadow Spear coming out, it really, I mean, the stuff I sold and then traded some stuff with Trace to get the Primaris. You know, the coffers are again full, and I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm holding strong. You know, the end of this coming week, my daughter's birthday, so all the family's coming in. But as soon as they're out the door, it's time to set up the spray booth and at least give it the good old college try to knock out some of these new Crimson Fists. Because getting those painted would be difficult because the commission artist that I normally use is now moved on to different things at this current state. So we have to try to hit our hobby goals, and I need to take that force to Nova to play with Danny. So the feet will be to the fire soon. But yeah, I wish I had the discipline as some of you guys do. I just, I'd like to throw money at it, and it's easy because I like to play. Because the rest of my hobby progress is building decks, playing, and balancing this thing they call hobby and life. So
how's that going?
Well, I had to reevaluate. So as we'll talk about later today, I went to the tournament. I had Nova that Trace hosted and had a very good time, but having two young children, a new job that puts a lot of long hours, I may have overstepped my game playing last week. So we did our normal Tuesday night. For me, it was exciting because there was going to be a lot of new players there, and it was a chance for me to teach the game and hopefully get my hooks into some other fresh players to loop into the group. So Tuesday I did not skip, and I went and I stayed there the whole time and stayed there even later talking to Jerod afterwards. And then Thursday work kept me late, very late. So my wife was left holding the torch with the children 2 nights last week. And then we got to Saturday, and the tournament ran long. And as we will talk about, I made it far in the tournament. But really, honestly, looking back, I should have made the call of the commitments that I made to my family, and I should have left the tournament at 6:00. I did not, and then I, on top of that, had my phone on silent, so I missed a phone call. So
try
and fail. So I was a little bit in the doghouse, and for my journey, my wife has been very, very supportive. Recently, we've worked through balancing my hobby and my work life and then our family life very well over the last year. And this was the first time that she has really not said anything in a week where there was multiple lawn events, and she put the ball fully in my court on Saturday. And when I didn't get home till 8:00, I knew what I had stepped in, and it was hot and steamy and smelly. So
I think there's a number you can call.
Yeah, but just really reevaluate it and make sure that my priorities are aligned with my family's and communicate with my wife. And really, that's what it comes down to everyone, to our listeners, and to the group is I did not communicate properly on Saturday and set expectations for my wife, myself, my family, my game, and that was my failure. And it's okay, it happens. So we'll reset, and it won't happen again for me. But I still am gonna get my plastic crack addiction on and my dice throwing addiction on. But that's what we're about here, and it was a great. I'm glad I could fail to share my experience with everyone out there in the world.
Jason had to die so that we may live.
Oh, now I sound like a martyr.
No.
Hey, wait, I have martyred. I score 1 glory.
Hey.
Well.
Frankly, I think we should just cut it there. That's the line of the night. End of podcast.
That's a short podcast. No. So seriously, though, thanks for sharing, Jason. It's not always easy to put, our failings out there, and, we're all on this journey together. So putting those lessons out is good. So with that, awesome moment of vulnerability. We'll take a break and we'll jump in and talk about the tournament that caused all this grief for Jason. So we'll take a break and we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back to the Battle Mallet podcast. I hope you enjoyed our sweet jazz tunes, because now it is time to get serious and talk about the March to the Night Volt Underworlds tournament, hosted by none other than our lovable TO, Trace. Trace, I'm kind of curious, because to me this kind of came out of nowhere. What sparked you to host a Underworlds tournament at a game shop, not even like at your house, just going to a shop that I don't even see you at very often and running a tournament?
Well, we're really just trying to get exposure for the game, and it was funny because it actually overlapped with some of the target audience that we probably have a little bit. So some of the Malifaux players were there, and one of the guys that we game with pretty regularly used to play Malifaux, and now he's playing with us. So it's just I just thought it was a really cool venue, and plus we've been wanting to do like a 3-round best of 3 event for a while, and one of the guys that's got connections with Atomic Empire actually had already started kind of reaching out for that, and it kind of fell through that he was going to run it, and so I stepped up and said, hey, since I asked to do this event anyway, I'll step up and run it. So that's kind of where it all got started. But really the main reason why we want to do it is just to get more eyes on the game, because we really think that the game is just awesome and it plays really fast, and it's great for people who are tactically minded and like cards and like dice and like models and like board games. Like I just feel like it covers a lot of genres and just makes it a really diverse game. So just the more eyes we can get on it, the better.
Cool. So was there anything though about tournament organizing itself that turned you on, or was it just more the game and it was just an opportunity to interact and interface with the game?
I've always wanted to run events. It's just something that I feel like is just part of a gamer's duty eventually. If you know the game well enough and you've preached it from the high mountain, it eventually falls to you to run an event. So there was that level of like kind of obligation and want. So like I wanted to do it just because I'd not really hosted a lot in my time as a gamer. And so I just kind of wanted to test my chops at it. But really, I just think that this game has a lot of opportunity for people to step up and run a tournament pretty easy, and I was just kind of testing the waters myself for it to see how it went more than anything. So curiosity mixed with love of the game equals Trace being a TO.
Best TO NA. But yeah, that makes sense. I think everybody kind of does that on a small level on their own too, right? You hear a lot of people host hobby nights at their house or board game nights, and obviously that is not nearly as involved or high stakes, but I think that's your kind of genesis point. Everybody kind of comes from that. And so when you kind of closed your eyes and imagined this event, what was like your main, to you, like if one thing happened and that made it a success, what was that thing? Like it didn't matter what else, like everything else, the building could have burned down, but if this one thing happened, you were happy.
I just wanted everybody to have fun. I didn't, numbers are always a great measurable to go by. I had a target goal in mind for myself and for this event, but in the end, I just told myself like, hey, whoever shows up, as long as they have a good time and as long as we can have some great games and just all get better at the game as a group, that's really all my goal was. So, and I feel like we achieved that. Because I didn't, there weren't really any hurt feelings. Everybody kind of got to walk away with some cool stuff that they may not have had before. Some people got some repeats because that's just kind of the nature of the GW prize support for the game. So if you play in multiple shops, you can end up with duplicates of the same card. But to me, that's nothing but a good thing, because that gives you opportunities to give those cards away again to somebody who is just starting the game that may not have those cards. They're kind of like a cool, Jesus pamphlet, if you will. You hand it out door to door. So I just feel like that's just a fun way to get people into the game and get new cards in their hands and get them thinking about new stuff. But I just wanted everybody to have a good time, and I feel like that was a successful event for us, just because we had some people come up from South Carolina, that a buddy of mine that I grew up and played with games with when I was super young. He brought some friends up and they played and gave some people some good games, and I felt like that was just a successful event.
Well, Jerod and Jason, you guys were there. Was it fun?
I had a lot of fun except for one round.
Let's hold on. Let's keep that on a back pocket, because I would love to hear about your bad round. And then if we can circle it back and blame it on Trace and make his event terrible, then we'll do that.
Perfect. Yeah.
Tell me about it, Jerod. Tell me what did you enjoy about it? Well, let's start here. You've done other Underworlds events before as a competitor, correct?
Correct.
So how did this stack up? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, no, I mean, it was good. I think the nice thing about this one was that we were able to get some people that I don't normally play against to come. And so that's always fun, to meet new players, to meet new people. I think that there's for me, at least, there is a tension that occurs when I end up playing the same people over and over and over again. Trace and I had this back in the days of Warhammer Fantasy. And it's not aggression, it's just a thing that happens for me.
It's just an intensity that builds.
Right.
And rivalries don't necessarily have to be a bad thing.
Yeah. It's just a friendly rivalry.
Rivalry is a good word. But it's a lot easier for me to be relaxed and cordial and, goofy.
Clinical.
With, so like clinical in my mind, but personality wise, like it allows me to be, just generally more friendly if I'm playing against somebody that I don't know, because there's not a history there. So 2 out of the 3 rounds that I played were against a couple of the guys that came up from South Carolina, and that was one of my favorite parts of Nova is playing against people from all over. One of the things that I'm looking forward to about going to Nova again, and not just in Underworlds, but in Age of Sigmar and the 40K narrative as well. So I mean, it was fun, and a lot of that fun was due to meeting new people and learning, how they play and why they play and what their life is like outside of the games.
That's awesome. I know Jason really loves new people, so I'm dying to hear how much you enjoyed this event, Jason.
I mean, I enjoyed the event. It was a lot of fun. You know me, I'm such a people person.
No, it was for you that you enjoyed.
The 3 rounds, it's really been since Nova that we've had an opportunity to play 3 matches in a round. So really, really enjoyed that. Plus, Atomic Empire is just a great shop. For anyone that has not been there, they host very large tournaments on a regular basis with a full service mini bar.
Well, beer bar.
Beer bar. Yeah. But lots of tables, lots of merchandise. Easy to get in, easy to get out. So it's just a great venue
Super friendly staff.
Yeah, just a great venue to go to. And then, like Jerod said, despite my anxiety of new people, and I'm joking, I deal with people all day, every day at my job. You getting to play different people was really refreshing. And in a tournament setting, like what else is better? And plus, the war bands that I play, let's face it, they're not super top tier. So I need 3 games just to figure out if I can win or not. So it was very exciting to have 3 rounds in each round, or 3 matches in each round.
Yeah, well, that's awesome that this event kind of gave that opportunity. And obviously pulling people from out of state, we're all based in North Carolina. Atomic Empire is in Durham, North Carolina. And so getting people from neighboring states to come up, I think kind of pays credence to that. Something that kind of jumped out to my mind, and I want to, full disclosure, Atomic Empire is my neighborhood shop. I live very close to it. That's my go-to place. So I love that place. But I was kind of curious, Trace, from the tournament organizer perspective, to kind of create an event like this, it takes an infrastructure. And so the shop obviously has a history of putting on events. And so you had support from the shop, you had support from Games Workshop, and then obviously you had your own background. I was kind of curious, like, how those three worked. If you could give me kind of an idea of like what ended up being the prize packages for this, and how was it working with Atomic as kind of almost like a co-equal, right? You're no longer shopping with them at that moment. You're working alongside them, and then what you thought of the GW package, and if you had any kind of feelings distributing it and deciding all of that merit.
So I really enjoyed hosting the event there. I think they have a great system that they have where they really support independent tournament organizers, because they have plenty of staff, but they don't have the knowledge base that all the players do most of the time. The only thing that I think that they really do have like super deep knowledge of is like Magic, which I feel like every shop owner has to have.
And comics.
Yeah,
And comics.
Magic and comics are the two things that you really keep a hobby store alive most of the time. So, but they really leave it in the hands of the people who really love the games to run the games. And have to give a shout out to Mal, who was the event coordinator for us for this event, because she just, I walked in, introduced myself, and she was just like, "Hey, what do you need?" And from that point on, like, there was no questions. I just said, "Hey, do you have the quarter 2 kit for us?" And she's like, "Yeah, I've already got it pulled out." And I was like, "By chance, do you have the quarter 1 kit too? Because I don't know that it was cracked into either. And I know that there's a lot of new players here, so I'd like to just give out all this swag if you can."
You get swag. You get swag.
Essentially, yeah.
Look under your chairs, more swag.
So we actually got to completely distribute the prize packages from two quarterly kits, because they hadn't opened either.
Well, give us an idea, in case somebody doesn't know, what's in one of the GW quarterly kits.
I'm glad you asked, Danny, because I was getting ready to get to that.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. So in those kits, there's usually a set of upgrades and a set of like ploys, and then a set of or they're gambits now. But usually there's an alternate art upgrade and a unique upgrade, and then there's 2 of like the weapon sets. So like last season they were the shade glass weapons usually, or they were something else, but this season they are the nullstone weapons. So there was 2 of each in each box. So by the time that the tournament rolled around and everybody got their stuff, everybody got 4 alternate art nullstone weapons. So it was like nullstone hammer, nullstone spear, nullstone darts, and nullstone axe, something like that.
And these are cards that like you can put into your deck. So
correct. Yeah.
They're like little badges of honor. Like I've been in a tournament in quarter 1. So now like when I flip my nullstone hammer over, somebody will see it and be like, "Oh, that's
I'm
cool."
the real deal.
Right.
They got like a different border, different art.
Yeah, they're slightly different. They're actually, the art's always really well done on all the cards, but whoever
I talked about it. My favorite thing from that kit was the new little twist they've added, which is with some of the alternate art, they're using their golden demon demon.
Well, those are actually, so those, when I went through and reread some of the stuff, Danny, those are actually for the best painted.
So like that's awesome. That's even better. I love that even more now.
Yeah, so there's a single golden demon card in each, and they could be like an upgrade or a ploy or whatever, and it has the golden demon in some form or fashion on the card. So like if you come and you bring your A game painting wise, but you tank the rest of the tournament, you still could walk away with some cool, like, and those are unique. Those are probably the most unique in the kit.
Yeah, and they're brilliant. It's that painting that they have like on all their painting kits of the actual Golden Demon, but he's doing Shadespire, Underworld, Night Vaulty things, and it's pretty excellent.
Yeah, it's really cool. So just alternate art cards, and then you also get alternate art warband cards too. So in these two sets, there were Zarbag's Gits, Eyes of the Nine. That was the quarter 2 kit, and then the quarter 1 kit had Stormsire's Cursebreakers and Briar Queen, Thorns of the Briar Queen.
Right.
So
the launch teams.
Mm-hmm. And then there's also independent activation tokens for those cards, for those warbands as well. So you get faction-specific activation tokens for all those things. So it's just like by the time you leave, if you know, since we had such a smaller event, it ended up being like 8 people. Everybody got to walk away with like practically everything. So it was just really cool to see. The top 4 people actually get acrylic versions of charge and move tokens. So since we had two kits, the quarter 1 kit was an acrylic move token set, and the quarter 2 kit was the acrylic charge token set. So you actually have independent tokens now for the charge and moves, whereas in the box game they're just opposite sides of the same token. So those are kind of cool badges of honor, as Jerod likes to say. And he was really excited to get a set of those charge tokens, by the way. He was really giddy about it.
Why were you so excited to get acrylic charge tokens? I thought they came out in season 1, Jerod. I mean, I have some. Yeah,
but where did you get those, Jason?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, top 8 Nova. You're welcome.
So they're different. Those, and by the way, those are different. The ones that Jason has are different than the one that Jerod has.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about the big prize in those boxes, though?
The biggest prize in all of it is the Shade Glass Trophy, and it's actually a really nice little trophy that you get. It's made of glass, and it's got Champion of the Underworlds 2019 on it, etched in the glass with the Underworld symbol on it. And it's just a nice little piece of mantle swag if you feel like you want to put it up on your mantle with your wife at home, if she'll let you. But
are you saying I have a trophy wife? Oh, that's flattering.
Yeah.
Well, that's the big thing. And who won the tournament?
Well, so our friend Jimmy ended up winning it. It came down.
Yeah, I set you up on that. Sorry.
It's fine. It came down to Jimmy and Jason at the top table. I'm
Jason
sure
gets one.
Jason feels right now. But it was a great game. They actually went to the third round, and it came down to like the last card flipped essentially. And I'll let Jason kind of explain some about his games later. But it was a really entertaining thing to watch. It was Magor's Fiends versus Godsworn Hunt at the top table, and
right.
Jimmy was playing Magor's Fiends, and Jason was playing Godsworn Hunt, the quote unquote underpowered faction. It does definitely take a little bit more thinking power, I think, to play Godsworn.
Yeah.
But you know, if there's anybody in our group that I think could do it, it would be Jason. So
just keep trying, buddy. Just keep trying. Keep your chin up, little guy.
Someday it'll happen.
Well, that's excellent. I've always been kind of curious about kind of like removing Oz's curtain, pulling it back and seeing the inside of these events, because you usually just arrive and you've got the one guy running it and he's got his box of stuff and he's running around like a madman checking lists and doing this and doing that. Before I kind of pivot into kind of talking more to the Jason and Jerod who competed in the event, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on, like your biggest lesson you learned on that day, Trace. Like, was it, how did it give you a greater appreciation for how events are run? Did it make you want to do it again, or did you just say, okay, that was a fun experience and I'll put that in a cupboard and keep it there forever?
I definitely want to run more. Jason and I have, well, all of us really have a big focus on trying to help grow the community over the next, year or so. And so we're just trying to get the word out and get more people playing the game, just because we think it's just awesome. And we actually had a little bit of a success with that over the past week or so with some of my friends from my hometown that, we'd been talking about the game for a long time. And the main thing that we were met with was like, oh, it's just a cash grab. Like, they're doing exactly like what X-Wing does. And I was like, no, you don't need multiple boxes of anything. Like, you just buy the warband and it has everything you need. And, and some of them really have started getting into it and really are starting to realize what a good game it is. So like, if they actually, it was sad because if they didn't have a event that overlapped with the same day that we were running our event, we may have had another 4 or 5 people come down for the tournament.
Next time.
Yeah. So we're going to try and make sure that we align it to where that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, Jason.
To piggyback off that a little bit here. So, really growing the community here in the greater Raleigh area, like, we've talked about making this a road show when it comes to Warhammer Underworlds and getting out to all the local shops. So Trace just expressed some really good growth out in the western part of North Carolina. One of the players that showed up at the tournament at Atomic, like, it was his second time playing. Like, we had met him on Tuesday and he had such a fun time that he came out to the event. And then I seen him again at our local shop of Game Theory in Raleigh playing on Tuesday. And really, like, because we balance work, life, and the family, we only play every other week games. So at Game Theory this week, I saw posts of a number of new faces there. So it's very exciting to see that the game growing and grabbing hold of some people that played other types of games, maybe not even GW games, but there was 3 new faces at the local shop this past Tuesday. So very, very good to see.
Right on. So you didn't scare him away with your tournament?
No, I'm not a jerk completely, just a little bit.
Well, let me focus on you then, Mr. Not a Jerk. Your tournament day, how did it go? Tell me your overall record and your thoughts on the day. Like, how'd it go for the dogs and the broads in no clothes?
Well, they're just hanging out there fast and loose. So yeah, it went fairly well. It went better than I had imagined. So I have struggled with the warband a little bit. This is now the 13th version of a deck that I've come up with, and I've fallen in love with them. But it's because they're difficult. So my first round was against one of the South Carolina players, and Chris, and he's playing Mangors and or Magors, and I knew right away. I'm like, okay, this is gonna be tough for me. That's not a good matchup for my warband. It's not a good matchup for the style of deck that I play. But I think I got in his head a little bit right on turn 1. Like, I took Jagathra, and threw his spear across the map, clear across, and killed Magor in one first activation of the game. And I think it totally shocked him. He was like, holy cow, like, one of the linchpins of my army is gone. So I won the first round, lost the second round, and that's kind of where I started to get into my head. I knew it was going down, and I thought we were running out of time, so I started to kind of like move the game along a little more or faster, and I need to slow down. He was a newer player, reading a lot of his cards, and I was kind of like, hey, this is what it does. Come on. And there was one interaction where he was playing one card, and I looked at the art, and it was the completely opposite card of what I thought it was. So there was definitely some learnings there of, hey, slow down. Yeah, it's a tournament, and you want to go, and make sure you get all your games in, but it's still about growing the community. That's what we're based on here. Not just Underworlds, but growing everything. So,
where do you think that that emotional turn or mental turn came from? Like, why do you think you felt that need to kind of push it?
Well, because I knew round 2 was gone. So,
So you were just wiping it basically?
Yeah, I was like, okay, well, you have this. So, I missed a couple rolls, a couple dice rolls, and failed a couple attacks, and I knew what was left in my objective deck, and he had I ended by losing game 2 by 9 glory, so I knew, hey, I need to get through this game, end it, because I need enough time because we're gonna have to go to 3 rounds, and then we made the joke of when Jerod and I played in Nova, and what happened in Nova at an hour and a half, like our third round ended at the end of turn 2. And although, yeah, it worked out in my favor and it was a very, very tight game, you just don't want that type of experience for anyone. You want the game to come to its natural conclusion, at least for me, because I want to win by winning and I want to lose by losing. I don't want some halfway in between event. So that's why I started pressing. And then, he pointed out, hey, we have like an hour left. And then I calmed down. But it just, it was a learning moment for me of relax, and it's just a game.
Yeah, well, it's always tough. I mean, I have made no bones about the fact that Underworlds is not my preferred game, but I can think of in a similar occasion in an event where you and I, Jason, played together at a Warhammer 40,000 event where the opponent got kind of salty and they just ditched the game, and we had driven like 2 hours to go out there, and we basically unpacked our models and then packed them back up after about 15 minutes of playing. And so I think, even if you're kind of bummed that you pushed the boundary on that particular game, I think it's important that you kind of triumphed though at the same time, right? Because you allowed the game to go on and you played with some sportsmanship, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and because he was newer, like there was definitely a lot of take backsies, like as he was learning the cards, which I'm all for. Like, listen, if you got the card in your hand and you're going through, yeah, rewind, I'm fine. Because once again, I'm not playing a top tier warband. I want the hardest challenge. This game would not be fun to me if I won every single time. The fact that I lose a lot makes me want to play the game a whole lot more. So yeah, like it was a fun game. I just had that one moment in time, and we moved on, and I ended up by taking round 3 by 10 glory points. Really chained a lot of stuff together. So like, for him, it was eye opening. He was like, "Holy cow! How did you just go from being tied to being up by 10?" Because I had like Peerless Fighter for all you players out there. It's great when it goes off. Hard to achieve all the time, but man, does it stack. That's a 2 glory rolling double crits. So my deck is kind of constructed to use that card to the great effect. But I scored 6 glory real quick in 1 dice roll, and then snowballed up to the 10. So it was a good learning experience for him. So
it was really cool to watch that interaction too, just as a TO, because I saw his face. Like I see it all the time, right? Where you'll score this and score immediately, and then you draw another one, and you're like, oh well, that condition's met, so I'll score this one. And it was just really cool to watch him be like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, the mayhem of that game.
Yeah, it was a really, really cool moment. And he was like, I need to like really dig into these cards a little bit more then. So it was nice to see Jason, like it was an education moment, as well as like this is the sweeping victory for him for this round.
Right. Well, before I move on to Jerod though, I want to talk to you, Jason, real quick. You were the one at the final table. You blew it, but you were there. Talk to me about it. What was that game like? What was that experience like?
Yeah, I mean, round 2, I go in and play Jerod, and we'll get to that when you speak to Jerod. Round 3, went on into play a friend of the show, Jimmy, and once again playing the wonderful Magors. And Jimmy and I play a lot. So unlike Jerod's experience, I did play players that I play regularly. I knew that his deck was a very difficult matchup for me. Some cool things that did happen though. Rebound did not go off for him because that would hurt me. So that was cool. But the first round, we're down to, it's the last activation. He has the dog, Riptooth, and I have my dog. And
yes,
yeah, and I never use a dog, but my dog, so he's inspired on 3 dice, has Fearless Fighter, and Concealed Weapon. So if I roll a crit, I'm hitting for 4. We're basically going to tie on Glory because I have Denial and he has Denial, and so I charge in. I need this to go off. It's going to net me 2 Glory plus my end scoring. Roll the dice, and I crit and take him out. And then we add up all the glory, and we're tied 16-16, and it's the first time I've had a tiebreaker come down to just like annihilating the other faction and having a fighter left on the battlefield. And it was very fitting that it was the big puppy against the little puppy, and my little puppy that could won me that game. So
Scrappy Doo did it.
Yeah, it was awesome. So I went, round 1, there's a win. Okay, I'm feeling good. We go into round 2. I win board placement and go long board, and then my dice kind of turn on me, so I go for a shot at the end of round 1 and fail. And then he comes back and stacks some glory, but I'm still in it. And even this game comes down to the last turn, and this is where I get very narrow focused. Like, I'm looking at my objectives. There's 2 fiends on his table side. On his board side, I've killed out Riptooth, and there's only 1 fiend on my table side. And if I had looked at the whole situation, I was worried about him playing hidden paths and getting in my back line and disrupting my 3 fighters that were still alive. But if I'd played it a little bit better, I could have run in and charge and killed the 1 fiend that was on my side. And then taking the one that I did end up by charging with and run them to his side of the board on the last activation in the last turn to deny him Denial. And we probably would have still tied, and then the game would have tied out completely because we both had fighters left and no one was on objectives. So in the end, it would be a wash, but it was just a misplay by me. And it really speaks to Godsworn Hunt, how it's not just about the cards, like your objectives, and it's not just about rolling dice. The movement that you have to be conscious of, because you only have those 4 activations and you're going to lose fighters. You really have to be dialed in on what your plan is and read the whole board, not just what is going on with the choppy chops and the killy kills. And then the last game, so I dropped that by 3. He beat me by Denial. Last game, the last round, I was proud of the way that I went through it. He got up 6-0 on me, and really it was me not ditching my objectives in the mulligan phase. I knew I could pull it off, but it was a risk, and because my deck is so glory starved from, it's only got a total of 20 glory if everything goes off, and it doesn't always go off. So I was trying to maximize that by holding on to them. So I didn't score anything turn 1, went down 6-0, but I managed to battle back. And once again, it came down to there was no fighters left on the board for him. And he got Denial in the last activation, and he won by 3. So I had caught all the way up. It ended up being 14-11. But Denial went off, and that's what sealed the deal for him, and I took the bridesmaid.
So it sounds like it's safe to say that you lost a dogfight.
Oh,
hey-o. All right, well, I'm happy for you though. I'm glad that you got to. It sounds like it's the kind of loss that you can really hang your hat on. It's never fun to make it. Well, it's fun to make it that far, and no matter what, but it can always sting a little bit to be so close. But it sounds like it was a good competitive game.
Yeah.
But we're all really focused on one major thing, because I had left at this point, but a little birdie told me that Jerod has a little story for us from this tournament, because Jerod got a little touchy, I heard.
Yeah, touchy's a polite way to put it.
A little precious.
Yeah. So round 1 was against Jeff from South Carolina, and that was fun and fine. It was my Farshiders versus his Orcs. It's a good matchup for me. I played Orcs for forever, so that went about as expected. I took him, I won both games. And then we get our pairings for round 2. And at table 1, it's Jason Murray and Jerod Johnson. And I'm like, oh, great. It's Nova all over again. So Jason and I play all the time. He helps me with my deck. I help him with his deck. So there were literally no surprises by any of the maneuvers that happened in any of the games. And I, like, to be honest, like, I don't even remember the exact series of events. So Jason, you may have to step in here. You won round one?
Round one, you took 13-9, and that was the round where I said a very bad word very loudly, because good Lord, Jerod, you rolled some crits on defenses. Everything was a critable defense, as Emma would say.
Yeah.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah. Okay. So I took round one, and then you took round two.
Round twos, yeah. So you had round two. I scored 16. You scored 14, and it was a very back and forth game.
Right, and that one was typical. I don't think anything really, like, there wasn't anything unexpected. There weren't like, oh man, you rolled a crit and you rolled another crit and you rolled another crit, and so like I feel like the dice were like even on that round. Yeah. So okay. So my memory is hazy memory is
too much time at the beer bar.
Yeah, not enough time probably.
Fearless Fighter won you that game.
Okay, as it does.
Now
so
get me to the juicy bits. I want to know the juicy bits.
So we're coming into round three, and it's you pull ahead early, but not by much. And then we're going. I think this is going into the second activation. I have an unspent glory, and I'm so frustrated by some bad play on my part in the first round of activations that I don't spend that glory to put on an upgrade that I'm going to need to be like, that I just need to put on. It was Archer's Focus, which is it's critical for Far Striders because it's reroll on your shooting attacks. So Awakened Weapon is a restricted card. Archer's Focus is not, so it's an easy reroll. It's an auto include for, anybody that's got ranged, more than one or ranged person. But I don't put it on Far Strider. And so then I spent like 3 activations trying to kill the dog or Olo or Jagathra, one of the 2 health people. And I keep looking at this stupid Archer's Focus card in my hand because I do a first activation and I don't get the kill. And then it just snowballs and I get inside my own head, and I'm so focused on the mistakes that I'm making that I'm not looking forward. I'm not thinking about other ways that I can score, or even just looking at what's in my hand and the glory that I have and the board placement to be able to play the game well. And it's ironic because I often tell my children that they are in charge of their emotions, that they're allowed to experience those emotions, that it's okay to be mad, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to get frustrated, but it's what you do in the midst of that frustration, it's what you do in the midst of that anger that makes the difference. And when you shut down or when you scream, for my children, I tend not to do a lot of screaming. It's that reaction to those emotions that makes the difference. And this is 100% a case where I let the emotions take the wheel, and I wasn't focused on just playing the game. I had lost focus of that at that point. So it ceased to be fun for me at that point. So what ended up being my 5th round, I wasn't having fun anymore. And I, was just sitting there in those emotions and not dealing with them appropriately. Which is not something that I do often, but it's something that I used to do a lot when I was a kid. And it starts to snowball because I feel myself doing it, and then I get frustrated that I'm doing it, and it just goes on and on and on and on. So I still don't think that you won that round by much, maybe by 8.
Yeah, it 17-5, so by 12.
Okay.
So you have some repressed memories there.
Yeah. No, I'm totally not surprised that I don't remember the full details, just because the inner self frustration that happened there. But
You did a very good job at like stopping and collecting yourself, but at that point, the game was over, and I think the lesson that we're trying to get across to our listeners is it's a dice game. Like things happen, and in order to be very successful, so to even add more context to it, these same decks, like Jerod and I play, we probably legitimately have 20 games of these two warbands back and forth at each other. And there have been major swings where this Farstrider deck has scored 22 glory against my Godsworn Hunt. So I think all of that combined, and then me jumping out to such a large lead because there was one misplay, really contributed to this factor. But the learning lesson here is, one, calm down, and two, he allowed that to dictate the rest of the game and did not give himself a chance to get back into it despite the cards that he had in his hand.
Well, and personally, I think it is, my opinion is we've all been grumpy pusses at the table. It's happened. Like, you cannot play games without having a moment at least once in your life where you just down tools, take your ball, and go home. I don't want to do this anymore. To me, I think the greater lesson here, and which is why I think most people play games, is for these kind of meta lessons. It's not really about learning how to play through that or learning how to succeed through that or how to make that not your game. It's how you react to that reaction. And so, Jerod, after you had kind of collected yourself, what was your next move? How did you make amends? Like, what was the plan? Because to me, that's where the test of a person is after finding out that you've been on the wrong side.
Yeah.
How do you make that good?
So Jerod hit the bar.
Yes.
So
A++.
Yeah. So at the event, I think once the game was over, I was able to settle. And so in my round 3, I got to play against Chris, who Jason played in round 1 from South Carolina. And I just made the decision right then and right there that I wasn't, like, whatever happened in that game was what was going to happen. That at that point, like, I wasn't playing for top table anymore. I had a decent shot of getting, the acrylic charge tokens to match my acrylic move tokens that I already had. But I really made the objective of the next round to have fun and to make sure that my opponent had fun, to celebrate my opponent's successes. There was one time where I think, there was a critical piece. It was either to save Magor or to save Riptooth. He needed to roll a crit. And I was like chanting for him to roll the crit. And then when he rolled the crit, like, I got just as excited as he did. Because I went into that game with that in mind, to celebrate, like, all of the successes of the game, to celebrate all of the good moments of the game. And that's something that we've talked about as a group before, is celebrating one another's successes as much, if not more, than we celebrate our own.
And those kind of moments of duress, I think, can really recalibrate your mind, because what happens in those moments when the game goes against you, like you described, you'll start to wallow in that and you start to get upset with that. And then once the game is over, you kind of step back, get some clarity, and it kind of, you get a little embarrassed, you get a little sheepish, at least I do. And you remember, oh yeah, I'm just playing a game. And you start to enjoy the game again, almost more than the first game. Like, when you first walk in, you have so many thoughts going in your head about what you want to achieve on the day, what your goals for the day are, what combos you're going to pull off, all this stuff. And then once you do something stupid and you feel bad about it, you stop really worrying about those things and you get back to the fundamentals of just playing a game and having a good time. And that's I think the great lesson of board games and war games and all of these kind of things, is that they can teach you a lot in a short amount of time about yourself and about other people. And that's incredible. And I'm sorry that you had to have the first experience, but I'm super excited that it got you to the point that at the end of the day, you were cheering for your opponent and being like, yes, please let me see this super rare thing, because that's the experience, is watching this rare thing happen, not me getting some acrylic tokens.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've hit all the things we want to talk about when it comes to this tournament. Is there any burning last things you want to say before I send us out on this particular topic? Any of you, go ahead. All right. Good talk. So I want to thank the three of you for chatting with me. I know that I am sometimes the Underworlds hater, but I really enjoyed talking about this with you guys. I enjoyed going to the event. I was at the event for the first round and observed and helped judge the painting competition. It was great. The atmosphere was great. Trace, I think you did a great job getting people there. I think there was a good crowd, a humble crowd. Everybody was in good spirits. And it just seemed like a lot of fun. So I want to thank you, Trace, for putting that event on. And then I think we would absolutely have to thank Atomic Empire for hosting us and being such great, generous hosts with the prize package and taking care of everything.
Yeah,
Here.
One more shout out to Death Ray Designs, who didn't provide us. We purchased them, but they custom made dice trays. Once again, Death Ray Designs. They worked out great for the Shadespire game, since they're small and they did custom work. So we have our logo on the mat to soften the dice from rolling.
And they sound like this. So on that note, we'll be back in a couple minutes with an interview with Alan from the Barnyard Brawl, conducted by our favorite precious gamer, Jerod.
So hey gamers, this is Jerod. I have on the phone with me Alan Blakeborough, for those of you that know him, better known as Blake. He's running the Barnyard Brawl Convention coming up in April down in South Carolina. So we thought we'd have him on, let you guys know who he is a little bit, and kind of what the Barnyard Brawl Convention is all about and what you can expect, what you can look forward to there. So Blake, why don't you just take a minute? I'm going to run you through the same questions that we ran through in our episode 0. So take a minute. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your first memory of playing board games?
My first memory of playing board games would probably be as a kid, in family living room, playing either Sorry or Monopoly with people. And then I was one of the first people in the late 70s, early 80s that got into Dungeons and Dragons when it first came.
Nice. So back in the real Gary Gygax days then.
Yep, when we had little lead miniatures.
Right? Yeah, you can't get those anymore.
Nope, they'll kill you.
Yeah. I got my start in Dungeons and Dragons in 2nd edition. So I know how to calculate my THACO.
There you go.
All that, yeah, which is not something that many people can say anymore. Yeah. So, but that sounds like a good start. So, well, Dungeons and Dragons, I feel like for a lot of people that inevitably leads into miniatures wargaming. So I guess outside of your little lead poison minis for original Dungeons and Dragons, how did you get started into miniatures games?
Warhammer was actually introduced to me by a bunch of my fencing students in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So they came to me one day and they were like, "Hey, Maestro, on one of the weekends when we don't have a fencing tournament, can we use the fencing school to play Warhammer?" And I had no idea what Warhammer was. They explained to me it was this board game, war thing that you move these miniatures all around. And I was like, "Oh, okay." And they said it took a lot of room. And, they didn't want to play at home because mom and dad would always yell at them that they were messing things up. So one weekend, they brought some stuff and started with 2 tables, and then 2 tables became 4, and 4 tables became 6. And next thing I knew, we had 12 people playing in the fencing school on the weekends, and they were bringing their friends, and the friends were getting introduced in the fencing basically the same time they were coming to play Warhammer at the school.
That's amazing. So playing with plastic swords and real swords.
Correct.
That's so cool. So was it Warhammer Fantasy or Warhammer 40K?
It was Warhammer 40K and Fantasy.
Okay.
They didn't know. I didn't know how to play either. They decided to teach me how to play, and then I had a coffee shop in Charlotte, And some of the parents were asking me to carry the Warhammer stuff because they didn't want to drive 45 minutes to go up to the Games Workshop store, and wanted to be able to buy the stuff locally. And that's literally how I got into running gaming stores, getting into Warhammer. So that all started from a bunch of teenagers that wanted to use the fencing school to play Warhammer.
That's like every teenager's dream, every teenager wargamer's dream come true, to be able to have like a free space to play whenever they want. And then conning their maestro into actually stocking this stuff. So that's pretty cool. Cool. So, well, what are you working on hobby-wise now? I know I saw you at Nova last year. I imagine you've got your hands full getting ready for this convention, but are you getting prepped for any other events or any?
We're getting ready to go to Adepticon. So myself and Michael Walsh, who has won 3 of the Barnyard Brawls, TJ, who's one of our judges, and a gentleman by the name of Eddie, who lives up in the Chicago area. The 4 of us are playing in the championship, and then we'll be doing the team event on Saturday and Sunday.
Oh man, that's awesome. Adepticon is definitely on the list to go.
I went 3 years ago, and I will go every year from here on out. It's like a trip to Mecca.
Yeah. Oh, right. Great. So now our show is going to be about Nova and Adepticon. That's great. So, well, let's get to the meat of it, right? So, why we wanted to have you on, to give you the chance to tell our listeners and the people up here in North Carolina and everywhere else that are listening, tell us about the Barnyard Brawl, the convention, the series, what can people expect, and, where they need to go for more info, and all the good stuff.
Okay. The Barnyard Brawl was basically to give the people in the Southeast the ability to go and have an Adepticon, Nova, or an LVO experience without having to make the 13, 14, or 3-day drive like me and my wife did when we went to LVO this year, down here in the South. We started with the Brawl this past year to see if there was a market for it by hosting it in the fencing school I had in Greenville, which could host up to like 80 people. The response was great. We had over 160 individual players show up over the 4 events that we had over the year. So now we've rented out a Shriners Hall that's got 13,000 square feet.
Oh, man.
Yep. And we're now, my gamers and other systems that play the card games, RPGs and stuff, were complaining that I was spending all this time and energy in the Warhammer arena, and they wanted equal footing. So now we've turned it into a full-blown gaming convention, so that, the Magic players, the D&D players, Pokemon, can all come and basically get their geek on at the gaming convention over the 3 days.
Oh, that's so cool. So what are the major events, right? You've got a team tournament.
We have a team tournament on Friday, which is a 3-man team, which mirrors the ATC format.
Okay.
Then we've got Saturday and Sunday. We have the grand tournaments for Age of Sigmar and 40K. The 40K now has 128 people that will be playing in it, and we use the Nova style bracket system. Okay. So that out of the 128 people, we will have 8 champions. And those 8 champions will all get, awards and gift certificates for their placings. Okay. I love the format that Mike does up at Nova. And, it was like when we were looking for a system to replicate as far as doing that, we picked that one. And everyone loved the bracket system the 4 times we had it last year for the. And then we have Kill Team, we have Shadespire, we have a thing called Kids Hammer, which is also, the brainchild of Mike and the guys up at Nova. It's basically for Warhammer players that are 15 years and younger. Okay. So that way they kind of feel that, they're able to play amongst their peers, and not playing against, us bloodthirsty adults, so to speak.
Well, I have I worked at a Games Workshop store, probably the one you referenced in Concord Mills, and let me tell you, there were some bloodthirsty teenagers as well. So, but at least they're being bloodthirsty amongst themselves, and you don't have a 35-year-old that goes home crying because he got his rear end handed to him by a 13-year-old.
Yep.
So that's awesome. And so Saturday and Sunday, those are the GTs, and you guys are running. Well, what mission packs are you guys running? Are you running GW, ITC?
We'll be using ITC.
Okay.
We use the ITC format for basically two reasons. One, everybody has all the missions available online, so they can practice at home with their friends, and there's no surprises. Also, the ITC format does a real good job as far as any ambiguous questions with the rules. They have a ITC organizers group. Basically, anything that comes up that sometimes might be a little unclear in the Games Workshop rule set or isn't addressed in an FAQ, they're real good at ITC as far as saying, okay, this is what we're going to make as a ruling. And if it winds up being different in an FAQ later on, they make the adjustments. But just like with Adepticon, they just made an announcement tonight of how they're handling the Gene Stealer cult item as far as it comes from below and whether or not you can use it on the first turn. They've made an executive decision at Adepticon is you have to wait until turn 2.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. I actually had not read that announcement yet, so that is news to me. Gotcha. It'll be old hat by the time this airs. So everybody and their brother or their brood brother.
There you go.
We'll know about it. No, that's cool. So where do people go for more information?
To get more information or register, you just go to barnyardbrawl.com.
Okay.
You have all the information on there. If they want to call or talk to anybody, they can call the store, which is the redbarnsc.com.
Okay.
That's the one hosting it. And then basically go from there. At last count, we have about 47 slots left out of the 128 for 40K, and we have about 30 spots left out of the 64 for Age of Sigmar.
Okay, and it's in Greenville, South Carolina, and it's the last weekend in April.
It is in the last weekend of April, and one of the things that the Brawl is been known for, I found out when we went to LVO, is we give out more prize support than any other gaming event for 40K in the world. So last year we gave back $12,000 in prize support.
Well, that's intense.
Yeah.
Oh man, I have a work thing that Saturday. Maybe I'll call in sick. Get my piece of that pie.
And then also we'd like to make a note that Mike Welch, who is a gamer up in Raleigh, who's come on some hard times health-wise, we are auctioning off the winning LVO type army at the Brawl. So it's about a $900 army before the paint job.
Okay.
We've had a bunch of the painters who have volunteered to paint the army. And you can buy a raffle ticket, and with one raffle ticket you could win a $900 painted army. All of the proceeds go to Mr. Welsh's family for their hard time that they're going through, and all the stuff has either been donated to the store or the guys that are painting the army. So
that's really cool. I think as I have grown as a gamer, I see the generosity of gamers just continuing to grow, and it's always really cool to see people giving back to the community. Whether it's an individual saying, "Oh, I got this box of Space Marines that you can have," or doing something like what you guys are doing, where you're kind of really rallying around a cause. What Mike does, what Mike and the whole Nova Open Foundation do up in Nova. So that's really cool.
Yeah, they raised over $84,000 last year for breast cancer awareness. That is just.
Yep. That's really cool. So, if somebody wants more information about how to help Mr. Welsh and his family, where do they go?
We have information on the Brawl site. Okay. There's also a GoFundMe as well. If you join the Barnyard Brawl Facebook group, there's a link on there for the GoFundMe as well as the raffle. So.
Okay. Cool. We'll definitely track that link down, and we'll put it in the show notes as well. So we'll get links to the brawl itself, to the Red Barn, and then to the GoFundMe for sure. That's awesome. Well, so any closing remarks? Any last minute maybe secret tidbits you want to give out?
Well, I would pay attention to a lot of the people that are going to be fielding a lot of Death Watch now in their armies with Guard. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of Knights go by the wayside, and you're going to see a whole lot of Death Watch with Guard now. So
okay, yeah. Are you alluding to the Stormbolter Storm Shield
combination?
Combo?
It is just insane.
Yeah. Well, so Blake, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, and I know that we're going to try to get down there. I know Jason and Trace for sure are really fishing to get down there at least on Sunday, if not for a little longer. And then I've got the work thing on Saturday, but I'm going to try and scoot down. But if I don't see you at the Barnyard Brawl, will I see you at Nova?
You will see me at Nova.
Awesome. And then maybe we can catch up again in between just to check on how things went and where you are. So
thanks
awesome.
for having me. I appreciate reaching out to your audience and giving the time to talk about the brawl.
Yeah. All right. Well, have a good one.
You too.
All right. Thanks. And we're back. Man, it was really cool to talk to Alan, to learn a little bit more about kind of who he is as a gamer and, everything that he's got coming up for the Barnyard Brawl.
Cool dude.
Yeah. So you guys be sure to check that out. We'll put links to his event and then the GoFundMe that they've got set up, as kind of part of the charity's work that they're doing. For that, we'll put those links in the show notes. So to all of our listeners, I just want to say thanks for, sticking on this journey with us. And, we appreciate the opportunity to really kind of dig in and share, the things that are going on, whether that's, trying to balance our hobby with our marriage and our family, or, taking the lessons that we learn from our games to heart. It's those little precious moments of learning, precious moments of growth. I think that really make the difference, that make, the hobby that much more worthwhile. So
love your family, love your hobby.
Yeah, preferably in that order. But
always in that order.
To each their own, I suppose. Yeah. So this is episode 3. If you like what you hear, be sure to leave us a review on Facebook and iTunes. It's probably the best way to get our content out, other than word of mouth. If you don't like what we're doing, then
tell us why.
Yeah,
fix it.
Yeah, let us know. Send us a message. Hit us up. We're on Discord most nights. We have a Discord server set up, so you can find a link to that on our either the website or on the Facebook page. So come hang out with us while we hobby. I'm on there probably 2 or 3 nights a week, hobbying at least. For all of you headed out to Adepticon in a couple of weeks, best of luck. And I think we're going to try to at least get some of us to the Barnyard Brawl. So we hope to see you there. But for sure, as the podcast says, we'll be at Nova. So we'll sign out here. So that'll wrap up your session with 3 dads and all your base belong to us.
No, I don't like it. I don't want it.
This is Jerod signing out.
This is Danny. I'll send you guys an invoice for the therapy session later. Peace.
This is Trace. Gonna go paint some Black Legion.
Yeah, you are.
And I'm Jason Table New Murray. I'm gonna go climb back into the doghouse.
The Battle Mallet podcast is protected under the Creative Commons license. If you have further questions as to its use, you can find more information via links on podcast.battle-mallet.com.
This episode of the Battle Mallet Podcast was produced by me, Jerod Johnson. Music by Anno Domini Beats.
Jerod, you have to pause it. I have to go pee so I don't pee my pants. It was awesome.
You will pee now.